What's good, YouTube, and welcome to the house. It turns out Nemesis is its own entire archetype. I haven't gotten to read through these cards, but I can already see they have at least a second boss monster, which is a good sign for them. Arch Nemesis Sutff was the original reveal. People went bonkers over this card. It is pretty good. You can search it with Melody. If you can make Curious, you can just banish the materials for this from the graveyard. And of course, Curious can send Safer. You can revive it with Pisty, but you probably would have already Guard Dragon comboed. The question is, where will this fall in now that it gets an entire archetype to back it up and alternate boss monsters? The last theme of the Brains era has no Link monster, sad face. Okay. Calm down, Yu-Gi-Oh! Org, you just revealed the code breakers yesterday. Theme name is tentative, as these cards do not share naming with the Sutff Nemesis card, and as such, do not work with them. Interesting note, so we don't know what these will actually be called for us. Arch Nemesis Protos is a Dark Worm, special summon / effect, level 11, 2500 / 3000. Do we typically see special summon up here? Wouldn't it just be effect monster? Cannot be normal summon / set, must first be special summoned from your hand by banishing 3 monsters with different attributes from your graveyard and or face up from your field. So you don't have to access things from the graveyard, they can be on your field. I like the diversity there of the summoning condition. You can only use this card's name second effect once per turn, cannot be destroyed by card effects, period, and you can declare one attribute among attributes of monsters currently on the field, destroy all monsters on the field with that declared attribute. Also, neither player can special summon monsters with the declared attribute until the end of the next turn. Attribute locking is pretty dang insane. It does it for both players. So this falls really in line with what Sutff does. We haven't reviewed him on the channel yet, so let's go through him real quick. He is a Light Dragon, special summon / effect, level 11, 3000 / 2500. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand by banishing 3 monsters with different types that are face up or in the field / graveyard. I feel like attribute is way easier to obtain, and attribute locking seems very powerful too, depending on what you are playing against, but because it is easier, that means other decks can kind of play around. This like goes in rivalry in monsters. That's pretty dang cool. Well, terrifying depending on how you look at it, but cool for an archetype perspective. You can use the second effect with this card's name once per turn. If this card on the field cannot be destroyed by card effects either, usually they switch it up. Usually it's like this can't be killed by battle or something, but they're both card effect immune. That's interesting. You can declare one monster type from among monsters on the field, destroy all monsters of that type on the field. Also, neither player can special summon monsters of that type until the next turn. Basically, if it would be negated and destroyed, it's going to live, but you can still try to negate these monsters' effects. Very, very powerful protection and very good stats at 25 / 3000 and then 3000 / 25. Let's go ahead and keep getting into it. Oh, they have a link to him, it seems, so I didn't need to pull that up in another tab. We have Nemesis Flag. He's a Pyro effect, level 2, 1100 / 200, and I already see a water neck, so I see the archetype works, of course, with the theme. You can only use this card's name's first and second effects once per turn each. You can target one of your banished monsters, except for Nemesis Flag, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, shuffle that target into the deck. So you get your resource back in deck, but it has to be banished, not in the graveyard. So they want you to have used the boss monster in order to get the special summon. During your main phase, you can add one Nemesis monster from your deck to your hand, except Nemesis Flag. So let me understand this. This does not need to be special summoned. It can just add any Nemesis monster, including the boss monsters, I believe. Yeah, Arch Nemesis is going to count as a Nemesis, depending on how they name all of this. Very, very good card. So you get the option to special summon and turbo out later, but it's also a really good normal summon starter card, or if you could special summon it somehow, all around great start to the archetype. Let's keep going. We've got Nemesis Umbrella. Kind of funny that it's a water monster. Water / aqua, so different typing, different attribute. Level 3, 1500 / 400. You can only use this card's name first and second effects once per turn each. You can target one of your banished monsters, except Nemesis Umbrella, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, special summon that target into the deck. So again, it goes with the banish. So if you've already summoned the boss monster once, this deck gets to spam to the field. That's pretty insane. So you can just like use these as link fodder after special summoning the first one. The question is, how are you going to turbo those to the graveyard? You can target one Nemesis monster in your graveyard except Umbrella and add it to your hand. Well, you most likely want them there to banish for the boss monsters and then also get your special summon. So this seems like not as good depending on how everything else turns out. We have Nemesis Corridor, a level 4 Wind Thunder effect that is 1900 beater status. We haven't seen that in some time. Usually they try to go 1800. You can only use this card's first and second effects once per turn each. You can target one of your banished monsters except for Nemesis Corridor, special summon this card from your hand, and shuffle that target in the deck. So they all seem to have that same summoning condition of they get way better after you use the bosses. You can target one of your banished Nemesis monsters except for Corridor and add it to your hand. So this is where you want the resource gain back, although again you want to be special summoning these, using them for link fodder, but it is a hard once per turn. And there's only I see a spell next. There's water, fire, and wind, kind of the super quant attributes. That's interesting. And then we get Nemesis Adrestia, a quick play spell. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. Target one of your Nemesis monsters that is currently banished or in the graveyard, so either place that you would be having these. Special summon it, but the special summoned monster's original level, if it's 11 or higher, cannot activate its effect during this turn. How big are the both boss monsters? Does one get off? We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. So that almost implies 11 or higher that we might get a level 12 boss in the archetype that banishes even more typings and also maybe more attributes to come. They might not be done with this at just 3 monsters. It's a very great start for what they're doing. It seems like it is set up to counter the Ignisters where everything's different typings and you pop off with what you have. My thoughts on these boss monsters, well, backed by there can be only one and you get to restrict and choke them out even more, it's gonna be pretty insane. So it does feel like a strategy where you get floodgate-like monster effects that you're going to back perhaps with further floodgates. My question still is, how do you turbo these to the graveyard to get banished to start turboing them out? Again, we don't have grass here in the TCG, so you're gonna have to work on some kind of combo between these cards to actually get them. This seems like a lackluster resources. You want the cards in the graveyard, but it's still an option. But you want the cards in the graveyard definitely to be special summoning your bosses. This one I like a lot, but it also adds back one of your banished, which is how you'd want to continue special summoning. The power of the deck seems to be all reliant on the boss monsters going off first, and we don't have the solidified way to rush everything to the graveyard within the typing off the top of my head. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've got a game plan to be able to do that. You can normal summon this, but then where's the rest of them like going to just come out of the sky from? What are you going to do to get them to the graveyard? Brilliant Fusion's at 1, if you're even thinking about that. It's got its own problem ramping up to the bosses, and it's feeling kind of like one of those decks where maybe one of the bosses gets abused more in other decks than its own deck, because Melody was very popular not too long ago. We were searching Levianir and Diablosis. Will this be worth searching over Diablosis? We'll have to wait and see. This card is very good as well. Locking out attributes can end entire decks by calling Dark. It also shuts you off from Dark, and then your next boss monster is Light, so it doesn't shut you off from continuing because he's the only one you're going to be summoning of himself, probably. Very interesting. I like the direction they're headed. They need just a little more to pop off with, unless I'm missing something, unless there's something that I'm not seeing, because this is Revival again. It doesn't really help you continue going off from where you're going to. It just needs something to start everything off with besides this search. You need that next play. You need to go somewhere else. But no links for the final typing. That is funny. So a link monster, a transitional link monster, really could actually help them, but maybe this just won't have links, period. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video and hearing me ramble a little bit through my thoughts digesting new cards. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. And what do you think about the Nemesises, the Nemesi? I think you just say Nemesis, but seriously, what do you guys think about these? I believe that this is kind of worth its weight in hype. I think it's pretty darn good, especially with how searchable / accessible it is. Curious is a highly underestimated card and wasn't too long ago since it was in our metagame, but again, versus Darkest Diablosis and Levianeer, will you be playing this card? Time's gonna definitely tell us.